This podcast is part of the Listen Frederick Podcast Network. To learn more, visit listenfrederick.com.
The Fedora Files.
Hello and welcome to the Fedora Files. I am Gregory Fedora. Thank you for coming in. I just want to start off by saying this episode is brought to you by Happy Little Monster Series, Volumes 1, 2, 3, and 4, which are available on Amazon. If you like reading folklore about different creatures from around the world, this is a series for you. So check it out. You can get them all on Amazon, and I done did them. They're my books. I wrote them. I did all the artwork, all the research, and it's all in there. Every little creature you could think of from around the globe. And I am currently working on volumes 5, 6, and 7. So check them out. Also, hey, why not check out Transcendental Tourist by my good friend Chip Stetson. It is his experiences and stories from different haunted places that he's been to, and he's currently working on volume 2 of that. So that'll be out later this year. So check those out. It helps keep the show going. I don't ask you to send me money or anything. But if you buy the books, it helps keep things going, and I'd appreciate it. And if you want the book signed, message me and we can work something out where I can get you a copy signed and get it shipped to you. More than happy to do that. Or if you see me at a different event, come on up, get a book, I'll sign it, talk to you, whatever. You can even talk to the Snallygaster. So Saul right there, he's always with me. He's like my little shadow. Well, this episode, I want to dive into something. Last time I talked about Atlantis. Now, let's talk about another archaeological thing that is missing, that people have searched for, and even the great Indiana Jones looked for this elusive object. And it is none other than the Ark of the Covenant. And no, it's not Noah's Ark, it's the Ark of the Covenant. If you've seen Raiders of the Lost Ark, then you know exactly what I'm talking about. Indy went searching for it, and in the movie he found it, but it's still out there hidden somewhere. And so I wanted to talk about and go over some of the places people think it might be, and then where I think it possibly could be. First off, let's get into what is the Ark of the Covenant, and the best way to do that is go right back to the source material. It's in the Bible. It's written about. It's first talked about in Exodus chapter 25, verses 10 and 11. And this is what it says. And they shall make an ark of acacia wood. Sorry, not a sigh. I'm thinking of the berry. But an ark of acacia wood, 2.5 cubits shall be its length, 1.5 cubits its width, and 1.5 cubits its height. And you shall overlay it with pure gold inside and out. Shall overlay it and shall make on it a molding of gold all around. So it's wood, but then covered in gold. So it's pretty valuable. I mean, if you think about the cubit, I think is roughly, between 18 to 30 inches. So it could be about 3 feet. It's basically a trunk, like a rectangular object. Now let's go on. Then Exodus 25, 17 through 22, they go on. And this is all the King James version, because I love reading the King James because of the thous and shalls. It makes me sound like I'm smart, except when I can't pronounce words like acacia. Anyway, you shall make a mercy seat of pure gold, and that's the top. 2.5 cubits shall be the length, and 1.5 cubits its width. And you shall make 2 cherubim of gold. Now, if you don't know what cherubim is, it's a type of angel. So that's what's on top is these angels. Now, you shall make 2 cherubim of gold of hammered work. You shall make them at the 2 ends of the mercy seat. Make 1 cherub at one end and the other cherub at the other end. So very specific. God was like, you got to put these here and here. So it's on either end. You shall make the cherubim at the 2 ends of it of one piece with the mercy seat. Now, this is like, so you really needed a goldsmith that knew what he was doing. And it's believed that it was Aaron, Moses' brother, who made this because he was a goldsmith. He was a really good artist. He was an artisan. Uh, and the cherubim shall stretch out their wings above it, covering the mercy seat with their wings, and they shall face one another. The faces of the cherubim shall be toward the mercy seat. You shall put the mercy seat on top of the ark, and in the ark you shall put the testimony that I will give you, and there I will meet with you, and I will speak with you from above the mercy seat, from between the two cherubim which are on the ark of the testimony, and everything which I will give you in commandment to the children of Israel. So basically, this is a conduit where God said, I'm going to speak to you from this ark. So this is, they didn't worship the ark, but this is where God's presence was going to be. So it was a big deal. So it was basically because before this, Moses, he spoke directly to Moses, but they knew at some point Moses was going to be gone. So God was like, this is where I will be. When you want to hear from me, come to the ark, bring your offerings, and I will speak to you from here. And it became like Joshua was going to get it, and then others and others. And so there's many verses about the ark in the Old Testament. You can find them, but I'm only going to go over a few. And basically, the ark was taken, and throughout history, they would take it into battle. Like, so it's kind of weird. Like, so if you see in Indiana, they talk about how like it was almost like a weapon, but I don't know that it was necessarily a weapon as much as like it was showing the presence of God was with them in these battles. And when they took the ark into battle, 9 out of 10 times they won. There is a time when it didn't happen, but, and we'll get into that. One of the things that happen, so that the ark's gone, and we're going to get into that too, but I'll come back to that. So at one point, the ark was very precious. You weren't supposed to touch it, and because and it kind of goes there at one point. A man, they're carrying the ark, and it starts to fall, and this guy puts his hand out to touch it and instantly dies. And you're kind of like, whoa, you're like, he's just trying to steady it. But it was kind of like well known, you can't touch it. And his name was Uzzah. And basically he wasn't holy enough to touch it. It's basically his holy object. And so when he touched it, instant death. So it's kind of like, whoa, what happened? Even though you think he's doing good, it was basically he saying, it's better that the ark fall to the ground than to be touched by a sinful person. And so to carry the ark, they had these staves, and they put the staffs through, and they put them on their shoulders, and they carried the ark that way. They didn't touch it all. And if you see Indiana Jones and the Raiders of the Lost Ark, when they find it, he puts the staffs in there, and they don't touch it. But we won't get, Indiana Jones is not the be all end all about the facts about the ark. It's a fictional story, obviously, but they did some things in there to kind of show what the Israelites did when carrying the ark. They were trying to be precious. The Nazis weren't so, and they fell to that. Well, one of the stories of the ark we go on is at one point in 1 Samuel chapter 5, the Philistines captured the Ark of the Covenant in a battle. And the Philistines, if you don't know, that's where like Goliath, David and Goliath's brothers. The Philistines were like the arch nemesis of Israel. They battled a lot. There's a lot of fighting going on between them all the time. And so they had captured the ark, and they took it to their temple of their god Dagon. and Dagon was their god, and they put the ark in front of Dagon. And in the middle of the night, the statue of Dagon fell prostrate, which like bowing to the ark. And so then Philistines put the ark back up, and next night it happened again. But this time now the thing broke. The statue of Dagon broke in half, like in front of the ark, and they're like, "What the flip, man?" Well, not only that, the Philistines started getting pestilence. They got tumors. Just bad time for the Philistines because they had stolen the ark, moved it from where it was supposed to be in Shiloh, is where it was being kept at the time. And they finally were like, we got to get rid of this. So they put it just on a cart and some oxen and got it out of their territory. And as soon as that happened, all the pestilence, all the stuff that had happened to them kind of went away. And so there we go, that it gets back to them. Eventually, it ends up in the temple that Solomon builds in Jerusalem, and he puts the ark there and in Jerusalem, and that's where it stays for a long, long time. So what happened to this ark? Where'd it go? Why is it gone? Well, let's jump ahead to 586 BC, so like 586 years before Christ, or you want to be BCE, before the Common Era. It'll still, everything changes on the same reasoning because the birth of a baby in a manger, whatever. I'm just, it's schematics. BC, BCE, it's all based on the exact same reasoning, but some people don't like saying BC. It has to be BCE. But anyway, it's all the same. 586 years before that day, the Babylonians attack Jerusalem. Babylonians were a big deal. They were like bad mother jammas. And so they go, and not only do they raze Jerusalem. Basically, they destroy Jerusalem, fire. They destroy the temple and everything. So, and that's where the ark was. Okay. Now, interestingly, in it, the Babylonians did a list, and you can find it. It's in the Bible. I think it might be in Jeremiah, might be in Daniel. It's in one of the, but you can also, like in their writings, the Babylonians had writings. If you want to look up, like they were meticulous about the things they had taken from the temple, and they list them out, everything they took, and they list the candlesticks. They list a ton of things that were supposed to be in the room with the ark. But the one thing they don't list is the ark. They did not list that they took the ark. So somewhere in the siege of Jerusalem, the ark went missing. Now, there are many theories about where it went and what they did, but the Babylonians never got it. It vanishes from history, and we never see it again. At 586 BC, never again. Now, if you want to go into prophecy, stuff like that, in Revelations, which is in the New Testament, it's written by John, who was one of the apostles. He talks about the ark being returned, and it's in the temple again. Now, right now, there's no temple in Israel, but he talks about it in the end days that there will be a temple again, and at some point, the Ark of the Covenant is recovered and brought back. So if you believe in prophecy or whatever, it talks about the ark coming back as well as the temple. And I'm not going to get into biblical prophecy because I'm not a theologian or a prophet or an expert on that. Maybe one day I'll do an episode because I find it fascinating. But there we go. It's supposed to come back. So it means it's somewhere out there, at least in the minds of people who believe in the Bible and in the minds of the Israelites. Jewish people believe the ark is still there somewhere, and they're waiting for its return to Jerusalem. And there is a contingent of people who are trying to get the temple rebuilt, and they want to bring the ark back. So, but where is it? Well, let's go into some theories. Now, there's 10 places people believe the ark might have been or could be, and so far it's over, hasn't been found. One place is Roslyn Chapel. It was, it's an old church located, I guess it's in Scotland. But it was kind of made famous because it was in the Da Vinci Code books as well as different things. But it's an Anglican chapel in Scotland. It's part of the rumors of the Holy Grail, Knights Templar. There's a lot going on with it. But it's supposedly built to look like the original Solomon's Temple, like at a lower scale, because the Solomon's Temple was huge, it's grand. This is basically the blueprint of Solomon's Temple miniaturized, and it's believed that the Knights Templar were behind building it, and people thought perhaps that the Holy Grail and the Ark are both there, but no one's ever seen it. People have searched throughout, like, done later. There's no hidden things that they can find not there. And I don't think it's there. Get into why in a minute. Another place is this place called Mount Tsurugi. It's in Japan. And you might be like, why? Well, this guy, his name is Masanori Takana, and he's kind of like the Japanese Indiana Jones. And he kind of thought, because interesting that these monks for a long time had this thing that they were doing. They were carrying a golden object on these poles, similar to what like the Israelites were doing with the ark. And he thought perhaps maybe it was. Well, no, it's basically just a Buddhist shrine. But it very similar ritual of carrying this thing on, and they didn't touch it, and it was gold, and they carried it. But then it's not. So there we have it. That's off the list. The next place is in Egypt, in the city of Edfu. There is a ancient temple, and it was built by the Ptolemaic kings. And a lot of people thought that perhaps it was there. But they have a thing called the Ark of Hours, and it's a small statue of Horus. And so they do have an ark, but it's not the Ark of the Covenant. And a lot of people, though, thought maybe perhaps. But again, not been found there. Another place is in Syria. It's a place called Antakya. It was believed that at one point that the ark was taken there to hide it, but if it was there, it's not there now. No, there's no people have searched there, not there. Another place is within the caves of the Dead Sea, where the Dead Sea Scrolls are. Perhaps it could still be there. I mean, because there's a lot of caves in the Dead Sea area. They did find those Dead Sea Scrolls. There was a particular scroll that was made of copper, which was unlike the other scrolls. And some people think it was a map or a way if you do the numerology and all this, that you could find the ark if we could decipher this copper scroll. And I believe on it there were different teachings and prayers on this scroll, but people have been trying to figure it out. So far, nothing. Not anything. Is it a code? Is it a way to get there? There's a reward if somebody can decipher it, and there is some talks of the treasures of the temple on this scroll, and then Ark is mentioned, and I think that's what people think. But it's basically people say it's a list of what was in the temple, and not necessarily a map to it. But if you can find it, you can go online and find this thing and the translation. And if you can decipher it and figure out, wait, it is a map to the Ark, you could win some money and find the Ark. You'd be the real Indiana Jones. Good on you. there's another, it's called the Chartres Cathedral, and this is in northern France. Another huge cathedral, and they're believed that the Knights Templar, they were a big deal, taking things from the Holy Land, bringing them here and there. Thought perhaps they had found the Ark. Now, the thing about the Knights Templar thing is, again, the Knights Templar were very meticulous about tracking what they took from the Holy Land. They listed things and they kept track of this. And so people thought they found the Holy Grail. People thought they found the Ark, but they never listed these things. But they have lists of other things. Again, they listed things they had found and brought to Europe of their things. So yeah, they were very secretive, but they kept documentation. And then when they were considered heretical, these documents came out of what they had, find out how much these guys were worth, because they did bring some gold and stuff from the area, and they did find some artifacts. But they never listed the Ark or the Holy Grail. They're mysterious. They did a lot of stuff. I don't think they're bad guys. Another option was that the Ark is hidden in Zimbabwe, in Africa, and somewhere in there, because there is a group of African Jewish people there, and they've been around there for 1,000 some years. So people wonder, did the Jews take the Ark, the Israelites, take it to Africa to hide it? And in there, they stayed down in Africa and intermarried. And then there's these African Jews. And that the descendants, they've done DNA, and they believe they are of a priestly clan. So the priests were the ones who took care of the Ark. So there is some possibility. Another place is Mount Nebu, and Jeremiah hid out on that mountain. There's a lot of caves and stuff there. People think maybe it was brought up there and hidden, and it's still there, hidden on the mountain of Mount Nebu. Now, one of the more famous places is the Church of Our Lady Mary of Zion, and this is in Ethiopia. And it's an Ethiopian Orthodox church. Now, this church is very interesting. You can't get in it. It's got a fence around it. There's one priest dude that lives in it. The place is guarded with people with machine guns. They don't allow you in this building. And the priest will come out, and you're there, that priest of that thing, until you die, and then a new priest is put in. And they claim that the Ark is inside this church. No one's been allowed to go in to look. But it's basically, again, there's a Jewish culture there that came to Ethiopia as well. But this church claims it's there. And the last place that people think it's in the Temple Mount. And the reason they think this is that underneath, right now, the Dome of the Rock is there. Before that, that's where the temple was. The Jewish temple was in the same spot. So there's all these tunnels underneath there, and you can't really get into it because of the different, the Islamic authorities, the Israeli authorities don't let people really go in. They let you into parts of it, but it's an extensive tunnel network. And a lot of people think that perhaps that when the siege was happening, they just took the Ark down into this labyrinth of tunnels and just hid it, probably bricked it up, and it's hidden somewhere still in Israel underneath the Dome of the Rock. And so then we have an issue, because the Dome of the Rock is a holy place for Islam. The area's got the Wailing Wall, which is a holy place for the Jews. And then, you got Christianity thrown in. So you got the three major religions all there. Can you do some archaeological digs underneath that? Now, you could. Will it happen? I don't know. It'd be very difficult because if the ark is found, it's a big contention there. Like the Muslim people do not, they're like, no, this is our holy place. The Jews are like, no, this is our holy place. Christians are like, hey, it's all our holy place. But the there's a claim that, hey, we were here first. No, we were here first. So it's always we. Who was there first? There's archaeological evidence, and I'm not going to get in who was there first, but archaeological evidence kind of tells you who was there first. But that being said, if the ark is found underneath the dome of the rock, that kind of tells you right away, wait, oh, the temple was there first. We have a right to build our temple. And that's kind of where this thing, there's a lot of contention and a lot of like, wow, but the ark is somewhere. Now, my personal belief, just reading about the ark and what happened to the ark, and what happened when the ark was moved from where it was supposed to be, which is in the hands of Israel in the temple, bad things kind of happen. And if you look at the two claims of Africa, which is Zimbabwe as well as Ethiopia, they've had a lot of pestilence. They've had a lot of, there was a time when those areas were fruitful, and they know that these were beautiful, plentiful places, and they had lush gardens and jungles and lots of food. They were not hurting for these things. But over the centuries, those places have now been like the Sahara Desert. They're missing things. Like they're famine all the time. There's hunger, there's pestilence, there's just crap after crap after crap. And then when we hear what happened when the ark was taken by the Philistines, they dealt with crap after crap after crap till they gave it back. Well, if the ark is in that church in Ethiopia, perhaps that could be why they've had so much issues. I'm not saying for sure. I'm not, but it's like, if you look at the history and you look at like the what is written about it, that's what it's said to happen if the ark isn't where it's supposed to be. And so I kind of poo-poo most of them. My initial thought is it's either in Africa or it is hidden in the labyrinth of mazes and tunnels underneath the Dome of the Rock in that area. I think those are the two places. And if it is in Ethiopia or Africa, they need to, if they get it back to Israel, like there's going to be, I mean, that's what we talk about. You think there's tension right now in the Middle East? That's going to blow things up like crazily, like to a whole new level. Now, and if somehow someone finds the ark in the tunnels in Jerusalem, that's also going to open up a whole can of what the flip, so just get ready for that. So wherever the ark is, when it's found, it's not going to be like, I mean, to some people it's going to be, this is awesome, but it's also going to be a lot of boom, 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 a lot of crap's going to hit the fan. So what are your thoughts on the ark? Are you excited? Is it one of those things that like makes you be like, that is awesome, I want to find it, like it's something I've always wanted to be a part of finding where it's at. And I've loved researching this stuff and like digging into it, the lore of it, the folklore. Like I'd heard about the Ark of the Covenant before I saw Indiana Jones. Like I grew up, with the stories and stuff, and I'd heard about it. But the Indiana Jones really piqued my interest more because then it's like seeing that, I was like, what? So then I had to research more about it because like, is that really what it did? And I find it fascinating, like amazing. So what are your thoughts on the ark? Where do you think it is? Do you want to hear more stories like this? Because there's many other archaeological things that are missing or have been found that I really love to read about and find out more, and I would love to present to you. And I have some guests that I want to come on to tell some other things, some archaeological stories that have been found or are being found, and it's pretty cool. And I've talked to them, I'm asking them, and hopefully they're going to come on. But there you go, people. That's basically the Ark, the story of the Ark. If you go on Google and type in Ark of the Covenant in the Bible, you'll find tons of verses about it. Some very interesting, some just sort of like, okay, it mentions it. But it's one of those things that makes you want to like learn more about, at least for me. So remember, stay safe, be careful, and as always, keep searching.
The Fedora Files.
Check out FedoraCRT.com today.